Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, transparenttrading-solutions.com on a Tuesday, 17th October. Volatile day today. Generally the markets, interest rates jumped on the hotter or higher retail sales number. Again, hypersensitivity to all economic data. But what was interesting is the markets held up very, very well. They did actually rally, came back just all over the map today. Standout, though, notable was the Russell today. The Russell did outperform, which I deem that as a bullish sign. All these beaten down stocks, and under the surface, lots of rotation going on. We'll get into the charts in a second. So again, subscribe to the newsletter. I'm going to have some special things coming up here in the next couple of days. I'll announce on Twitter, on X, I guess they call it now. Again, give me a thumbs up, put some commentary in the chat box there. So I'm going to be expanding some of my appearances and so forth. So keep an eye on that. Okay. All right. Let's get into the charts, everyone. Again, everybody comes here to kind of get some sense as to where the charts are. And one thing, again, I look at charts much different than, the traditional stuff. My 30 years of experience tells me that conventional technical analysis, all you have to do is just look at statistics, how people do with that. And therefore I look at charts. So if you think you're going to come in and I'm going to have all kinds of indicators, moving averages, all that other stuff, that's not the way I look at things. So we got to have an edge, and thinking like everybody else in the marketplace does not give you an edge, right? So if you are of the masses and you do everything that everybody else does, you'll probably likely end up over time not doing so well. So just a quick little rant for me today. Okay, all right, let's get into the charts. And first thing we want to do is look at interest rates. Everybody can see that's the 10-year yield. We actually talking to my members this morning, we were discussing what, not a big surprise. These lines I have, you've been watching these videos, I had these lines for the last couple of weeks, and I've been mentioning if we can't break through 450 on the yield, no shocker that we come right back up again. The next piece obviously is, are we going to break through and go higher? The answer actually lies in the 10-year yield, the 10-year bond chart, which again, I've talked about quite a bit here and so we do have a weekly, monthly level that we're approaching at 105.25 on the 10-year. And I think I've made mention, I don't know if I did it here, but I know I've mentioned to my members that wouldn't, ultimately the markets do seek out these areas, right? So that area there looks to be, wouldn't shock me if we come up there, and that may be the level that could finally get, sustained bounce. And also this line here, 108.16, been there again for last week or so. We were unable to get above that, which is basically corresponds to the 450 in the yield. And now we're going to test that, probably going to touch that at some point, and we'll see if we hold and then rally. Again, on the open, this is very lopsided on the sentiment. In fact, if you look at the commitment of traders, I think there's record shorts in the 10-year and the 30-year now. So that tells me that, even though we still could go lower, I think the downside, because there's so many people on one side of the boat right now, could be a little bit limited, but you never know. I mean, on a rare occasion, the majority does get rewarded. So maybe this is the time. I don't know. We'll see. I've rarely seen that happen, but you never know. On the 30-year, what was interesting today is we actually turned up a little bit higher than the previous low. So the top end of the yield curve, the longer end of the yield curve seems to, for now, seems to be holding relatively better than the 10-year. And, we did come up to that area there and then pulled back. So we're kind of in that, final phase. Unless something, again, even if things worsen in the Middle East, I think that's the safety trade. Well, probably that was part of this rally there. So that could come into play there, by the way, as well, if things deteriorate in the Middle East. So that's really the bond recap. Clearly still impacting stocks. So, looking at the S&P, overall, just a lot of chop. I would still overall today, if this was a kind of a football game or whatever, I would give a slight edge to the bulls today, just simply because we rallied, even though obviously we couldn't hold on to the rally, but the fact that we did rally in the face of rates literally almost taking out, almost going to 5% on the 10-year, does speak to the resilience of the market, especially the NASDAQ, which was the hardest hit this morning. You can see basically came all the way back, and in fact, in pre-market is actually picking up a little bit as well. Also, I think here's the deal. This is the really the key is the small caps outperforming today by a long stretch, meaning again that maybe that the rotation going into the smaller cap, the really beaten down sectors of the market. You see that across. You look at Dollar Tree. I've been talking about Dollar Tree, utilities, some of these really beaten down stocks, solar stocks as well. We've been looking at solar stocks. FSLR had a nice pop today. So under the surface, there's a lot of rotation going on. A lot of these beaten down shares are really catching a bid lately. So that's also, I would suspect, is a little bit more bullish. We've got earnings, Netflix and Tesla tomorrow, so that's going to be interesting to see how the market responds to that. Dollar also kind of just churning here. Still hasn't made up its mind whether it wants to go touch that higher level or go lower or break down. I would say if rates are peaking, dollar's going to go lower. So that's still, but again, message of the market says that it's undecided. There's very tentative situation here. You can see nothing really. So if you're trying to trade currencies in the futures markets, it's been very, very tough. It's just been, no follow through, very challenged, this market. So I'm not even, we can just take a glance. You can see kind of just back and forth, all the currencies really. You can just, it's kind of, not anything really worth mentioning here until we actually get some movement in the dollar. You can see all of these currencies just been chopping around in here. We got some levels coming up here in the New Zealand up here. That looks like a pretty good level. Australia similarly just back and forth, and then even the peso now is getting into a this kind of challenge, just really narrow range. Similar with Canada. So currencies are just basically wavering back and forth. Nothing really going on there. Gold even now is consolidating. This is going to be interesting to see if gold gets another leg up or it actually starts breaking down from here. If things ease up in the Middle East, I think we'll probably have gold pulled back. At some point, it's going to fill this gap. That's going to be really the buying opportunity. But for now, you can see, unless you're already in long, there's not a lot to do here. Similar with platinum, and incidentally, oil also just kind of holding off here. No follow through to the upside again, which is probably a bit surprising to some folks with what's going on in the Middle East. But there's still that wild card if things spill over into other parts of the Middle East. That's really what's going to cause oil to spike. So for now, the fact that there hasn't really been any movement in terms of Israel actually putting boots on the ground into Hamas yet. I think that's probably why this is a kind of a wait and see mode, and we'll see what happens there. Nat gas also, kind of continuing to chop around, pulled back from a nice level up top here that I think we mentioned. Yeah, this level up here at 4, you can see that on a daily, weekly chart here. Yeah, this level up here seemed to have held 350. We could be in a range type situation now, 3 to 350. That may be the case here. And then the grains, nothing going on there. Also, just kind of chopping around back and forth. Looks like soybeans want to move higher, and there's a potential for a breakout at some point in the corn and wheat. This is another market that has just been really just kind of dead. So, from the futures perspective, it's been, other than, just trying to catch some of these shorter term moves, you see the whole kind of currency complex has just been very, very tough, unless you're, again, unless you're trying to trade from a really short-term basis, which again, I'm not a big proponent. It just never works over the long term. We'll see if we can get some, finally get some follow through. The stocks continue to be very resilient. I mean, they just, we still have to get above this, and we could just be range, even year-end seasonal comes in, we could just rally back up to here, but I don't suspect that we're gonna, this whole this whole kind of range trading, I don't suspect it's gonna change anytime soon with everything going on in cost currency. There's a bunch of stuff going on under the surface. That's really where my focus is with my members, with earnings. And we bought J&J. We were in J&J today. I closed out the puts, and we are now long J&J. So I did a neutral strategy, which I did a class on this before. So now we're actually long. We closed out the puts right on the lows here at 155, and now we're actually long. Looking at the chart of J&J, looks like if we can break above 159, you got a gap up to 160, 170. Also, still long Nextera. I think I mentioned this to you the other day. Still long Nextera from 47.30. We got a great entry. Again, we're close to our target. It's been just kind of consolidating well, and on the next leg up, we should get our target on this. And then, we're looking at solar stocks, NFLX. We were looking at Dollar Tree. So there's a bunch of stocks I'm looking at as well. You may want to start limbling in some of these really beaten down numbers. That's where the opportunities are right now. Okay. All right, everybody. Again, subscribe to the newsletter. Give me a thumbs up. I am going to have another class. If you want to contact me, support@transparenttrading.com. If not, I will see you Friday. Take care. Have a good day.